easy. There's no objectivity, no nothing. Like their Facebook page is a dumpster fire.
And I go and write that fucking. I give a master class for fucking free to people because they're always arguing on Facebook and Twitter. People always arguing. Oh, that's just circumstantial evidence. That's just anecdotal. That's slippery slope, man. I put some effort out there. Got like 2 likes and a bunch of smart ass comments. Dude, I don't know what you're talking about. And then tomorrow they're going to try to be all smart. It's like, bitch, learn how to argue. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Josh. Not you, Josh. Josh, the listener. I'm talking to you, Josh. Post a stupid meme. I should learn something. Oh, man, it makes me mad, man.
It was a good post, man.
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
It was a good post. Well, it's just like you said it here. You said it a couple of episodes ago, though. The level of cognitive dissonance in this country right now is, it is astounding. It is literally the news. Every single reporter is basically Adam Schiff sitting there, staring at the camera like a robot, like, I have seen irrefutable evidence of, Trump colluding with Russia, knowing you're lying. You're lying. Like, you have not, because you never gave it to, Mueller. You never presented or anything, but you have to say that because that's what you're getting paid to say, even though you're being paid by the American taxpayer to work, but that's what your sponsors, quote unquote, are saying. So you're going to do the same. And that's what the reporters are doing. That's why I love seeing Kaylee the other day with CNN was trying to answer a question. She was getting ready to walk out. And she's like, I don't take questions from activists. He's like, turned around and walked on out. It's like, yes. So, but it doesn't matter, man. Dude, they can have the facts. They can have everything. They're still gonna toe that party line like Tucker,
He's coming out on the offensive lately, hadn't he? Like his last couple nights and posts, he's come out to really defend his position.
He has to, because he's one. Hey, man, Fox's ratings are down 40%. 40%. That translates into money. That $6 million that he's getting paid, that's not going to be there the next time that contract comes around when those ratings are down that much. So he knows he's got to try and save some of that base.
When they're being myopic about it, they're being myopic about it, because even Brit Hume, who I have a lot of respect for, came out and basically paraphrasing, he was like, "Look, I understand there's what you present in court, and I understand there's what you present in the media. So don't come out and make a claim in the media and not be willing to present the evidence." Whatever. It's like, well, no, because at that point you're operating in a vacuum. It's like, one, you have a court thing, but it's like you have to get in front of the public. You have to. You can't just so I guess by that statement you don't say anything about election fraud and you just continue the court. No, you have to get in front of it to let the people know. I mean, that's the only way you get traction with any of this stuff. So it's,
what they're used to. This is a problem with the media, because I saw that post and I was like, Brit Hume, you're smarter than this. But here's the deal: you have a prosecution that comes forward and it's an actual case, right? And let's say it has media attention, like O.J. Simpson or something like that. Because of the right of discovery, the prosecution has to give everything to the defense. And what does the defense do? They cherry pick what they give to the media, and they say this is everything. So the media is used to having that right of discovery, but this isn't in trial yet. This hasn't gone anywhere yet. So the media just thinks they have, the same right as a defense. Well, it's discovery, so we should be getting this information. But it's a legal proceeding, man. You're not going to release everything. Why would you do that? Until it goes to trial, then you have to. But whatever.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think, again, we don't have all the evidence. Nobody does outside of, the legal teams. But I don't see a lawyer of Sidney Powell, of her caliber, like staking her entire reputation on some bullshit. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Right. But I mean, that's man, you're putting this is it. After this, if you go down in flames over this, like you're done. Professionally, you're done. I think. So I don't know. Maybe Luke could put our YouTube link in his signature block at work.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Push it around his
motivational phrase of the day.
Send it out to State Department all.
Hey, see if Mike Pompeo will plug it. Be like, hey, Big Mike, you need your help on this.
Or better yet, once one of your buddies has their terminal unlocked and they've gone to go take a piss or something like that, go in there and send it from their email. Like,
I have a buddy.
I do that.
I have a buddy who does not listen to the show. I'm trying to get him to listen. He's a former attaché here. He's a 06 now. He got red pilled on COVID over the last week.
I love it
because he was all aboard the COVID train, and for good reason, because his wife was having chemo, and her immune system was real suppressed. But then he was just pro mask, pro lockdown, shut it all down, and now he's completely changed. And he messaged me. He's like, man, I was wrong. I was dead wrong about this whole
No, but I think with that case, I mean, not just a COVID thing. It's like, yeah, you're obviously going to have some concern, not going into lockdowns or something like that. But with my mom's husband, he's 80, got cancer again for the second or third time. And that's like, hey, but my point being, that's not just COVID. It's it's also pneumonia. Yeah. It's also the flu. It's also fucking breaking your hip walking down this, hitting a crack in the sidewalk or whatever, right? It's not like, oh, it's COVID.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and that's been, I mean, that's really for the three of us. That's been our stance the whole time. It's like, hey, absolutely, there are people out there with compromised immune systems that should absolutely 100% take this seriously and not go. Don't go to the movies, don't go to big crowds, don't go to Vegas. But that means you stay home. That doesn't mean perfectly healthy middle-aged people stay home. And we shut down the economy for everybody. We ruin the economy and lock everybody in their houses, simply because there's a certain, percentage of the population that, this will impact negatively. That's just, it's just common sense.
Well, what pisses me off is the same argument they use. Well, protect your neighbor and protect the people. The fact that I sat there and heard a contracting officer say, I hope Biden shuts this down to May because I don't want to commute. So how many small businesses will go out of business from that time to May? How many suicides will happen from that time to May? How much mental therapy will be needed from that time? But hey, we're doing it for your health. But see, you're wrong because you're not, you're out there killing people.
That's a government employee for you, because the government employee is going to get paid.
He's a contractor.
They're going to get paid regardless. Not a contracting officer.
No, that's government.
No, he's a contracting officer.
Yeah. So they're going to get paid. They're going to get paid whether the government shuts down or not.
Dude, I mean, people I don't like staying home, man. I don't like it. I don't having to go out and go to a place to work and then come home. I do not like being here all the time, man. And so I don't understand people. I don't get it.
I don't like being home all the time either. But to be fair, I don't like going to work either. So.
Well, yeah, I don't like, of course.
This is being honest.
Getting out of the house.
This is being honest.
Getting out of the house.
It's the getting out of the house part. And that was the worst thing about COVID the first time. That was the worst thing about COVID back in March, April, and May was just like, man, it's nice, not to have to get up and go to work in the morning, but damn, dude, I need to get out of the house. I need to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. I get cabin fever really easy.
You almost bought a motorcycle yesterday.
Dude, I thought about it. Oh, dude, I was close, and I was like, what am I doing? What am I stop. Stop. What are you doing? I seriously, man, I think I'm hitting my I'm legitimately hitting my midlife crisis now.
You gotta get a hobby, dude.
Dude, I got a hobby.
Talking about drinking bourbon. I mean, that's a great hobby. I like that hobby too. But I sit here and my neighbor's like, or I got some friends like, oh, you do a lot of different stuff and this and that. And it's like, dude, you got to do something, man. Yeah. I mean, you got to do something to keep yourself active, whether it's one day it's, fucking chickens, coffee roasting, collecting, you got to do something. Some way to keep, stay sane.
Yeah. I need to. The problem with my hobbies, they all cost a lot of money.
Hey man, start wood whittling or something like that. Whatever.
I've got a wood lathe. I can start turning, I can start doing bowls.
Yeah, I saw your bowl and stuff. There you go. Piece of cake.
But yeah, man, I got to figure something out because I'm not in a good place.
I mean, you could always put more effort into the podcast and help out a little bit on the production. Just saying.
Knew that one.
I don't think you want me doing the technical side of it.
I mean, but I tell you, there is some therapy in like doing the cover art and that type of stuff because it's stuff that I don't generally do every day. It's just like, okay, well, you know what? It'll take me a couple hours and, to do this. And I get in there and start reading a couple of things. And again, it's just hobbies. It's shit that just keeps your mind working and you're busy doing something else other than the job that you've been doing for the last 22 years.
Yeah. I was talking to the old deaf man earlier, a couple hours ago, Big Daddy Leaf. And, we were kind of swapping stories about, retiring and, all right, what am I going to be when I grow up? And, I ain't found it, man. I ain't found it because what I'm doing now, it ain't it.
Do something. You don't have to find it. You don't ever have to find it. Just fucking do something. Come out here and mow my yard for a couple weekends during the summer.
My something yesterday was almost bought a motorcycle.
Yeah, don't do that. That's all bad.
Yeah.
Were you going to go be a Hell's Angel or something? Was that going to be your thing?
No, I was just going to buy that thing, hop on it, and start riding west, and
join the Mayans.
No, dude, not going to join the Mayans. They already have a couple of vets. They don't need any more.
What's the other one? Hells Angels. Fuck, man, I can't remember those old motorcycle clubs. They were big in Arizona back in the day. Mongols.
Yeah, Mongols. Nah, dude, actually, I could go to Sierra Vista and join the the Cochise Riders.
Oh God. Did you ever watch what is it? The Devil's something. It was that motorcycle show that was on like Discovery Channel for 2 seasons. The Devil's Ride.
It was like the Devil's Outlaws.
Yeah, something like that, dude. Yeah, it was some fake ass shit. Okay.
Yeah, you got Sierra Vista, man. You always saw the Cochise Riders. What was the bar right there? As soon as you come out the gate on the right hand side, next to the gun store.
Yeah, they renamed it something else now.
Yeah, well, it closed down.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, it was closed. Oh, the Sorry Gulch.
Sorry Gulch, yeah.
The Sorry Gulch Saloon, man. That was you'd always see them. You'd always see them there. We went there one night. I forget which class I was out there for, but we went there, and it was not one of the nights that was, open to outsiders. We walked in, it was me and like 2 other dudes. We walked into the bar and grabbed a beer, and this motorcycle, dude came over. He was like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" We were like, "Hey, what's up, man?" He goes, "You guys military?" We were like, "Yeah." He's like, "Tell you what," he's like, "I'll pay for your beers." He's like, "When you guys are done with those, you go ahead and see yourself out. It's not your night tonight." It was like, fair enough. So he paid for our beers, man. We drank our Bud Lights and left. So
how it rolls.
Yeah, it was cool. It was, man, they were cool. It was like, "Hey, man, we'll buy you a beer, but tonight's not your night. You got to go."
He's being nice about it. Hey, I can read between the lines. Yeah. That means I'm about to get my ass beat. So
exactly, it's like Ron White said. I didn't know how many of them it was going to take to whip our ass, but I knew how many they had to use. So
I'm actually surprised that you stayed for the drink because I think I would have probably been like, you know what? I'll pass on that. I'll go get me a Mountain Dew down the street at the Circle K, and we'll just link up out front.
But we'll go get some Jack in the Box, man. We're out of here. We'll see you.
So what are we doing this week on this episode?
It's a bunch of stuff. Whatever.
I don't think we had a topic. I think people are just going to listen to us bullshit for a while.
Got a few things.
All good.
So who's Josh is starting us out, or Roger?
I'll start us out. What? All right, it's 42, right? Yeah. So my dad's listening to this now. He's like, I'm all caught up.
Wow.
I caught up on. He called it.
Holy cow.
He was like, what did he call it? He's like, I called up on your talk show. He was like, so
I tune in on the radio every Sunday night at 7 p.m.
He's like, I'm all caught up on your talk show. It's like he's listening to FDR, the fireside.
If you do, when you open it up, we might have like a no joke, like liberal listener to this episode, maybe. I'm trying to convince one of my real liberal friends to listen. I think he might give it a shot. So his name's Jeremy. shout out to Jeremy. He's a good dude. He's real intelligent. And if he comes on the show, I think that would be good because he would make some good arguments. He really would, or some good viewpoints.
So Jeremy,
good. I say good. Yeah, his name's Jeremy.
All right. Yeah.
Hope you're listening.
I'll give him a shout out.
We got to get a liberal on, man.
All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 42 of Culper's Canteen Cup. I think it's episode 42. I should have just said the next episode because I always mess that part up, and then Roger and Luke make fun of me, and they ridicule me, and they try and make me feel sad inside. So anyway, hey, special shout out. Hopefully Jeremy is out there listening on this episode. Hey, Luke mentioned you might listen in, Jeremy. We would if you're listening, we'd love to have you on. If there's anything that we say that you disagree with, or you want to come on and have a friendly discussion about, man, we love to have you on. Even if you don't come on and you're listening, we appreciate you taking time to listen to us and keep listening. Invite some of your friends to listen to us as well. For anybody out there who may be listening or may know somebody who has a different opinion on things than us, we would absolutely love to have them on for some friendly, low threat discourse. So if you know somebody, tell them to hit us up. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Parler, all your social media platforms, except for that silly MeWe. Have you guys done that? Have you guys looked at MeWe yet? I looked at it, and I looked at it for like about 7 seconds. It was like, nope. It looks obnoxious. That, and I can't keep up with the social media part of it that we have now, since I forgot to post the last episode of ours. So the last thing we need to.
I figured that we just stopped promoting. I thought that's what we did. I just didn't think we were promoting anymore. Not that our one post a week actually, is considered a promotion, but the little that we do, I didn't know that we could actually do, or we were going to do less. So that's cool.
I looked that morning when I got up. I was like, oh, it's not in here yet. Okay. And so I went to work, and that's what you were like, you going to post that shit or what? What are you doing? Like, I didn't see it.
I thought we were trying to see how fast we could go down to 0 listeners.
I think we only have 11 more to go. Oh, yep. So we got a special episode for everybody today. We have absolutely no topic to focus on today. It's just kind of like the shitty buffet at Golden Corral this week. It's whatever your ass walked up to and wants. You're gonna get whatever's put out, and that's it. You get to pick. So, yeah, man. So yeah, hey, real quick, special shout out to my mother-in-law, Nana. So Nana's going through chemo treatments right now, and hopefully, we're praying that they're working. Just want to let you know that we're thinking about you, and we got you on the prayer list. So keep fighting. Fight like you're the third monkey on the ramp to Noah's Ark, and it's starting to rain. Don't give up. You got this. So wanted to throw that out there. But other than that, man, the only thing I got to really talk about is some whiskey. So Roger, I sent Roger a couple of samples. Luke's got one coming to him in incognito, disguised as now he's got some coming. It's disguised as other things. I don't know how. I don't know how anal the postal people are where he's at. So hopefully they won't discover it hidden amongst the Ike and Mikes and ho-hos. And but I sent Roger some. So I think we're going to try and get this thing going to where we just kind of blind sample each other. It's not tell each other what it is, and you just get it in the mail, you taste it, give everybody your thoughts on it, and that's that. So I sent Roger 2 ryes. Roger's not a rye drinker. One day he's going to become a man and actually start drinking ryes on the regular. Today's probably not that day, huh, Roger?
No, you know what? It was actually fun. So it was super cool getting it because like I'll try to blind taste test some stuff that I have in my cabinet, but I bought everything that I have. And for most of us, we've had most of the run of the mill bourbon and whiskeys out there or whatever. So it's hard not to throw some type of bias in there. I know what I've purchased, this and that. And generally speaking, I only buy stuff that I either know where it's from or that I kind of know that I'm going to like or whatever. So it was kind of neat getting something from Josh with 2 bottles that you have no idea what they are. So I didn't even know it was a rye. I didn't know it was a bourbon. I didn't know it was just, some other whiskey or whatever. It's like, oh, here are these 2 bottles, try them out. So I kind of I had a scientific approach to this thing, unlike what they're doing with COVID. I decided, it's like, you know what I want to do is I need to make sure that I'm cleansing my palate. So I started gurgling. I'm like, hey, what do I cleanse my palate with? What do I need to kind of get adjusted to? So my favorite probably daily is like a E.H. Taylor small batch, something like that. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll drink some soda water with a little bit of lemon lime, kind of cleanse that palate a little bit. And then I'll take not even a half a shot of, or not even a shot, but sip half an ounce of E.H. Taylor small batch. I'm like, okay, that'll give me because it's a very straightforward, a little oaky on the back end, but a very straightforward bourbon. There's not a lot of off flavors there or anything too crazy. So I do that, take the number 1, and man, immediately I'm just like young and rye. I'm like, all righty. So I wish I wouldn't have cleansed with just a regular bourbon as opposed to a rye or something with higher rye content. But immediately knew right then, I was like, you know what? This is not my favorite, which was funny because we had the conversation before. It was Old Scout rye, correct? But it was a barrel pick or a select barrel, right?
No, so so that one wasn't a barrel pick. The second one you have was a barrel pick. That was just Smooth Amblers, Old Scout, single barrel, cask strength, 4-year rye.
So we had this discussion previously, and I wasn't a fan of the Old Scout. Now, generally speaking, the ones that I've tasted, and not just Old Scout, but bourbons or whiskeys or ryes in general, the higher the proof, normally you can mask a lot of those other kind of off flavors or whatever. It's a straightforward, full flavor. And so I drank it, didn't immediately like it. I was like, yeah, and it's also high rye. So again, I'm not a daily rye drinker, so I automatically kind of threw my palate off, but I could taste it was very young and it was good but it's a guessing game because like, heck, I don't know what the heck you put in there. So it was reassuring when he came back that, oh, it's this, it's obviously a rye. And it was at 4 years old. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So because I think I'm starting to be able to start telling the difference between your 2-year, not necessarily hit on the head, like a 2-year. I think I can tell you what a 2-year bourbon is. The 4-year, not as certain, but I could taste it a little bit on the back end. So it gives me a little bit more, confidence in my palate. And then with the second one was fantastic because I drank it. Again, not a huge rye fan, but that first initial flavor, you can definitely tell it is a full flavor drink. And I'm a huge barrel fan, been trying to pitch this thing for they're very proud of their stuff because everything's like $100 a bottle, but you can definitely taste that up front. I probably won't go back and buy the barrel rye. If I do, I would keep it for like guests or something like that, but I'm definitely a fan of all their other bourbons, which I think most of them are blends or something like that anyway. They might have a couple single barrel, whatever. So anyway, super, super cool. I would tell you that if you've got some buddies out there that do some type of, bourbon tasting, it is definitely worth sending a couple bottles. I'll send a couple back to Josh and kind of get his take on a few things, but definitely fun. And it definitely gives you confidence or lack thereof and, in your palate. So, and Luke, once you get to the stateside, man, we can actually fire off some stuff to you. I mean, right now, I think the only thing you can send to us is what Jameson and Four Roses, right? That's about it.
Nothing you'd want over here. Nothing you'd want, unless you like fermented blueberry schnapps or honey schnapps. There's nothing like Boranica or whatever. There's nothing over here that's good. I mean, not really. You can't find anything rare or noteworthy. Everybody went crazy when Conor McGregor's whiskey came out here, and they had it on. You couldn't find that on the shelves because they were buy it proper 12. And it's not very good. It's just not very good. So yeah, there's not much here. I can't really refine my palate up to you guys' level.
Well, it's funny because Proper 12 is all over the Total Wine now. So the big craze came out, and I almost bought a bottle. I was like, I'm not really big into Irish whiskeys, but I'll get a bottle. What the heck? And you're looking at the price point because it's dirt cheap. But apparently, the hype didn't necessarily live up to these sales because I think my Total Wine here has like 8 cases of Proper 12 just sitting out. So it's like, nah, I think I'll stick to my I think I'll stick to my, red breast or, some Jameson every now and then if I'm in that Irish whiskey mood.
It's hard, man. Once you've had, especially with the Irish whiskey, I mean, that is definitely an acquired taste. And once you've had, yellow spot, green spot, red breast 12 or red breast 15 and Jameson, especially like Jameson Black Barrel. Jameson Black Barrel is good. Like, it's good. It's cheap. It's dangerous. I haven't had proper 12, so I can't speak to it. But normally when people start doing, celebrities start doing whiskeys, they try and age them too fast, right? They try to either get it out of the barrel as quick as you can. It's like, dude, that's like the whole reason that it's in there, so it can sit for a while. There's a company, I forget what company it is, but they're trying this. Basically, it's like a pressure cooker for whiskey. They're like, we can speed up the aging process. And you're like, no, you can't. You can't speed up the aging process. There's a reason why whiskey, has the flavors that it does. It seeps into those staves. It's in there, it contracts and expands with the seasons. You can't speed up that process. You just can't. I can't speak to Conor McGregor's, but I don't know. Everybody, the craze right now here in North Carolina with all the rednecks is the Jack Daniels Eric Church release. You can't, dude, you thought that they put like Dale Earnhardt's NASCAR hood, replica on that thing. You can't find that to save your life. Like, even at a bar, it's like, hey man, let me try that Jack Daniels Eric Church. They're like, it's $57 for 2 ounces. I was like, oh, good. You keep I've never had a Jack Daniels that is worth $57 for 2 ounces ever. And I probably never will. Not that good.
I had that Jack Daniels single barrel select that was store picked, and it was really good. It actually tasted like a bourbon. It's a full proof. It's like 130 some odd proof. I was like, wow, this thing is really, really tasty and really tastes like a typical bourbon that I would drink. And then you realize the next day that, yes, no matter what they charge for it, no matter who selected it, no matter what it is, it's still Jack Daniels at the end of the day, because the headache and the hangover the next day. So now it sits on my bar. And so for whatever, for whatever guest I get over that likes the Jack and Coke, you're going to get an atomic Jack and Coke, because it's going to be about 132 proof or whatever. But kind of going off of what Josh was saying with this episode, here's one thing I've noticed. There is no other news out there. So like, I stopped watching Fox News for a little while. I jumped on the Newsmax, the OAN train. It's a little infomercialist, for me, but I was like, let me give it a try, this and that. I still jump back at night sometimes to Fox News with Tucker Carlson and some of the other folks the pundits I like to listen to. But I don't know if it's just me or you guys notice, they're not talking about anything else. I mean, it's all the election, the counting, and Sidney Powell and this and that. It's like there is no other news going on in the world. And even when I go to, because I have like Apple News here and then just my typical websites that I go to, and even on the right-hand side of the aisle, it's like the world stopped. Nothing else is happening in the world except for the recount, Sidney Powell, legal actions, all that other good stuff. I mean, are you guys seeing like the same thing? Because it's like, I think that's part of the problem. Is like, hey, what do we talk about this week? And you sit there and it's like, well, it's the same stuff. And I think I'm done talking about it. I think we all are. And that's why Luke and Josh are, okay, let's come up with some off topic things, some off brand things, and let's bring some other newsworthy items, into the cup. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, I haven't been televised news at all since November, probably 5th. I caught my wife watching Fox, and I was like, "What are you doing?" But she still watches. I don't. I listen to that Tim Pool podcast pretty much every morning. Does a rundown. It's his little pet things. That's not really news. It's more just commentary. Some of it is. He reads the news. So he reads from a bunch of different sources. I wish I could find more stuff like that. That Drudge Report was what it was about 10 years ago. I haven't been on that site in a long time. And then this new Revolver one that Roger kind of turned us on to, that's kind of like, I don't know, maybe The Blaze or Breitbart on cocaine, methamphetamine, and steroids all at once, raging. So, I mean, it's fun. I read that because it's kind of fun. And they link directly to tweets. I'm getting a lot of my news off of Twitter, just and people who don't understand what I'm saying when I say I get my news off Twitter, and it's getting harder and harder to do this on Facebook, is you don't just go to Twitter and read people's tweets. They'll link to articles, and you can go to those articles and read it for yourself. That's what we mean, Mom and Dad, about getting, and Josh's dad, welcome to the show, Josh's dad. That's what we mean when we say we're getting our news off of Twitter. It's not necessarily reading people's tweets and trusting what they say. That's not it. But yeah, I don't know. I've been, I the lawsuits as much as I should, because it is the next president. I don't know. I think we all know how this is going to play out, or we think we have a good idea how it's going to play out. And, it's just going to be a big mess. It's going to be a big mess. Whatever. We'll see where it goes. But, I have an interesting question. I'm going to do a little monologue so you guys can think about it. Okay. Because I have my list done and you can kind of think about it. So what we're going to do, here's the idea. What we're going to do is we're going to create, each of us, a fictional fire team that you have to go into combat with. So it can't be anybody that's currently real person, because Josh will kiss all the people's asses that he used to work with. Well, I'd go with this guy because he's the man. No. This is not an ass kissing contest. It has to be like a fictional character, right? A fictional character or a historical figure, So, you're going to pick Luke Skywalker because he got the Force. Come on, let's keep it as real as possible. You know what I'm saying? So my fire team, we'll say that this fire team is a little different. Usually it's a 4. We'll say that there's 6. There's 6 on this fire team, including yourself. So you're gonna pick 5 people to go into combat with. So number 1 on my list is Major Dutch Schaefer from Predator. Boom. I mean, I know he's an officer. I've actually got 2 officers on my list, believe it or not. That's crazy. But yeah, Major Dutch Schaefer, he's first on the list. Number 2, John J. Rambo. Okay. Now, he was enlisted, I believe. So that 3 is Josie Wales. Just be fun to just laugh at him. Just laugh at how bitter he is. It'll be like having Josh around. So
I think that's the biggest compliment you've ever given me.
He's just bitter and angry about everything, spitting tobacco on people's shoes. It's going to be awesome. So my medic would be Ernest Hemingway. I think he'd be a lot of fun, but at his prime, not after he had been in the plane crash and the fire and all that stuff. So Ernest Hemingway is our medic. And to round it out, and this one was a tough one, man, because I went ahead and went with Major John Reisman from The Dirty Dozen, played by Lee Marvin. Okay. An alternate close is Joseph Vladislav, played by Charles Bronson. So I was like, okay, that's a tough one, man. But Lee Marvin in that movie, I think I'd rather have him on the fire team than Charles Bronson. But if one of them had to be female, okay, and I'd have to think about who I would substitute in. If one of them had to be female, I'd go with Ellen Ripley off the Alien franchise. I couldn't think of anyone or maybe historical figure like Joan of Arc, but I don't know what her combat exploits were. But Ellen Ripley had it going on. Now, this is the type of stuff I think about when I'm on my way to and from work. If I could organize a fire team, who would it be? But I didn't give you much time to think, Josh. Who would be on yours?
Cool, man. All right, so you stole Josie Wales, because Josie Wales would have been number 1. I think. All right, so the first person that'd be on my fire team would be Sergeant Barnes from Platoon. It would definitely have to be Barnes. Let's see. Man, dude, this is tough. So you got Sergeant Barnes. I think I'd have to go with Gunny Highway.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, Heartbreak Ridge. Yeah, Gunny Highway's definitely got to be there. And another Heartbreak Ridge, man. I got to take Stitch Jones. Stitch Jones. Without Stitch Jones's credit cards and Grenada, they wouldn't have got that Cobra, that Super Cobra, to come in for air support. Stitch Jones, he's resourceful.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Scratch Stitch Jones. You know who I want? I want Peterson from the Green Berets.
Oh,
he's a resource. That's my guy right there. So Peterson and
Private
Hamchuck
Oppum and Corporal Oppum.
Oh Lord.
No. Yeah, man, I gotta take so Hamchuck, because he likes Peterson, and Peterson was brave. That's all little Hamchuck wanted to know. So sad. Trying to think. Oh man. So see who's that? That's 3.
Roger, if he's got any.
Yeah, I don't think it's imperative that we actually have the full 6. I really only need one. I've got a couple others, but General Westmoreland, that would be my number 1 pick. And for those that don't know, that aren't familiar with him, so you need to look up Operation Fractured Jaw back in the Vietnam War. This is a dude that was going to bring nukes into the Vietnam War until the White House found out about it and then shut it all down. So that is my whole theory when we go into combat, you go into war, whatever. Hey man, you go nuclear and you go early. You go 100% and you knock that shit out, or you just don't go at all, right? We lived through the whole Ootwa, Sasso decade, 2 decades or whatever. So a huge fan of that. Along the line of Josie Wales, I would have to go with, and maybe this could help round out my team, is basically any character that Clint Eastwood's played in any of his Westerns. I mean, that's worth at least 3 or 4, because you could take any of those characters. Some were good, some were bad. They were both sides of the law or whatever, but they all had that very straightforward, no bullshit grit about them. It was kind of like, hey, these people are the truth, and whether you like them or not, or whether they agree with you or not, that's just kind of the way they are. So that would be my, that counts for at least 3 people. And then if I had to do the chick, what's the chick from Underworld? What's her face?
Oh,
I don't know what her name is.
No, I can't. I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank on her. Damn it.
The chick from Underworld, that would be the woman, if I had to have a woman to fill out the fire team.
I thought Roger was going to say Demi Moore from G.I. Jane.
Well, I was going to, but I figured that was your pick, and I didn't want to double.
No, I don't have a woman on my fire team. So
well, it's then it's automatically invalidated. You don't have a woman on the fire team; it's invalidated.
Luke didn't say that was a requirement. He didn't say it was a requirement to have a woman. My other 2 that I would round out my fire team with would be Sergeant Major Basil Plumley. Right, we were soldiers, and
oh yeah, badass, good call.
And Sergeant John Stryker, played by John Wayne, Sansa Iwo Jima, in John Wayne's best movie, Luke, and Luke's dad, who I know is listening. John Wayne's best movie, John Stryker.
Sansa Iwo Jima. So what was his best Western? What was his best Western then?
Oh, man. True Grit. Two Mules for Sister Sarah was pretty good, but I don't think it beat True Grit.
Yeah, but the fight scene, John Wayne's best fight scene is. Go ahead.
Sansa Iwo Jima.
No, his best fist fight scene. John Wayne's best fist fight scene was from what movie? The Quiet Man, dude.
With Rock Hudson.
No, The Quiet Man.
The Quiet Man was good.
Dude, that fight went on for like 15 minutes. That was awesome.
It was a long fight.
Yeah.
The Undefeated. Is anybody, you guys have seen The Undefeated, right?
I have not.
I think I have either.
You ever seen The Undefeated with John Wayne and Rock Hudson?
Nope. So
John Wayne's a retired Union colonel. They after the Civil War, he links up with a group of Confederates that are headed down to Mexico. They fight Maximilian. God, man, you guys are not. Y'all are uncultured.
I don't watch a whole lot of TV in general, but I'll watch that. I'll look it up. I'll find it.
Dude, stop watching your anime and watch some old John Wayne movies.
I can never get into the anime thing either, man. I've never even tried to watch the anime stuff. I don't get the whole appeal about anime. Just I don't get it. Kate Beckinsale. That's her name.
Weird, dude. I was watching. Okay. Yeah. I watched a couple of old episodes of Thundercats the other day. It was pretty legit.
So Thundercats, I'm gonna go through them. Thundercats, He-Man, G.I. Joe. Those were my mainstays in elementary school.
Yep. Same.
Yeah. And Transformers. Same. Yeah.
But I feel Thundercats was kind of like an intro into anime. I mean, because like He-Man, G.I. Joe, it's a different level, right? For some reason, like I never got in to the Thundercats because, and that's just off what my observation is. So I have no idea what the tie is to any of this stuff, but I almost feel like just the way the artwork's done and the characters, that was like the intro into anime. And interesting enough that you bring that up, because I read an article the other day when we were looking at just like weird shit we're going to bring up. And I guess there's this, we talk about how music nowadays sucks, right? We're like, it's all the same shit. And my kids listen to it and like, oh, this is a good song. I'm like, yeah, well, this song was redone 3 times. It was actually originally sang in the 1950s or 40s or whatever. But they were talking about comic art and cartoon art. And they had, I forget what I was reading it off of, but they had 6 or 7 photos and drawings or whatever, just kind of side by side of the 80s and the 90s, early 90s versus today. And you see it. It's like there was some really artistic work back then. And now it's almost gone to like barely the stick figure. Everything's just like perfect circle. There's no artistic value to it.
No. And so if I had to pick, right, it would be, ranked wise, it would be G.I. Joe, He-Man, Master of the Universe, and then Thundercats. I did like Thundercats. I never got into the Hanna-Barbera cartoons that had the laugh tracks, like, Grape Ape and Space Ghost and stuff. I never get into those at all. They were not good. But yeah, man, cartoons today, they suck. They suck. Music sucks. Everything. I had same thing. I forget what song it was, but one of my kids brought it up. They were like, "I really like this song." I was like, "You know who originally sang that song, right?" It was "Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Yeah.
Right. So apparently that's been covered, right? Now that's the new hotness, right? And so it's my 16-year-old daughter. She's like, "I really like this. This is amazing. This song." I said, "It's a country song, right?" So this Charlie Daniels song. It's one of the songs that made Charlie Daniels famous. Not all of them. Not the only one, but she's like, "Who's Charlie Daniels?" I was like, "Let me play you the original." And she listened to the original. She was like, "Oh my God, that's really good." I was like, "Yeah, it's amazing." It's just, there's nothing new. It's like Hollywood, remaking all these old movies. It's like, where are the original ideas anymore? It's not. It's like Hollywood ran out of ideas, so they're remaking movies. People are recovering old songs and stuff.
That's the audience, I think, too. Because I saw a movie. They opened up the theaters here for about 3 weeks. It's when this movie Tenet came out by Christopher Nolan. He did all the Batman movies. He did a movie called Memento. He did Inception. And I really dig those movies, particularly Memento and Inception, because they're different. And the plot line is just like, you better pay attention. And man, this movie Tenet is so crazy. It comes out on DVD and on 15 December. And I'm going to have to watch it at least 3 more times because somebody came up to Christopher Nolan and said, "Hey, here's a screenplay that it's impossible to make a movie out of." And they've slapped it on his desk, and Christopher Nolan's like, "Challenge accepted." And he made this movie that will blow your mind, but you have to stick with it. You really have to pay attention, and it will pay off for you at the end. But man, audiences aren't into that, man. Audiences want to be spoon-fed, all this stuff. And I don't know, man, movies are bad. Music, there actually been studies on music actually getting worse. It's all starting to sound the same. And I don't know, man. But now I sound like an old grumpy old dude just saying everything sucks down. It was all good back in the day, but I
think there's something to it. There's something to it because I'm sitting here and I Googled it, right? Because I was trying to find the article, and I think this applies to everything. So they're specifically talking about cartoon art, and they're saying the young especially in Indian subcontinent and other places internationally. So anyway, the whole thought process is, back in the day, there were very limited outlets for cartoon art. So you had to be very good at what you did, just like with music, right? Back in the day, before everybody could just release, I mean, by all means, good God, Apple allows us to release our trash on Apple Podcasts. I mean, that's a prime example right there, right? So, but back in the day, that would never happen because, we've all seen the movies with Elvis and all, all these guys, the streets of Nashville, and you got to get picked up by Sun Records. And that was the only way to get your album out. And it had to be played on Sunday or whatever. So, the cream of the crop really rose to the top because you had to be that good. Well, once you open up that medium, and again, there's good and bad, because you also get exposure. It's like cable television. There's a reason, now you've got 50 million channels, so everything gets washed out, but you give exposure to some really good stuff that you would have probably never seen. The problem is, to get to that one gold nugget, you go through 5,000 channels of just absolute garbage and trash. So I think when you look at music, you look at the art world, all that stuff, it's, hey, back when you had to be really, really good, you had the top level talent out there, but now anybody can put anything out on any forum. They're talking about specifically here with cartoons that basically it's a professional course now in college. So, well, yeah, just because you come out with a degree in it doesn't mean you're good at it, right? It just means that you went through and got 4 years of I guess, drawing or whatever. I knew from a very early age I couldn't draw worth of shit. I had remember the little thing with like the turtle or the tortoise with the little, turtleneck, and you had to draw it, and you're like, hey, you draw this thing and you send it in and you can make $1 million. Yeah. So right then and there, I knew I need to be good at math because I wasn't going to be an artist. So I do think there's a lot to be said for that. And I think a lot of it's probably the same, who said that with the whole, you can put 100 monkeys on a typewriter and you'll get Mozart eventually or something like that, or whatever the hell it is. But
yeah, I remember the little turtle thing. I think it was the Fort Lauderdale School of Art or something like that that put that out. You sent it back into. It's one of the top art colleges in the world. You're absolutely right. Now it's just anybody can do anything. And I tell you, when it comes to art, though, I'm gonna give Luke's wife a shout out on this. And for those of you who've seen them, and she does watercolors. She paints with watercolors, and she's really good. Like, she is really, really good. She throws them up on on her Facebook page and stuff like that. And Luke, man, tell your wife that they just, she needs to keep it. And she said she's just kind of getting back into it. She slacked off for a while. Tell her to keep going, man, because she is really good. Definitely enjoy seeing those and seeing those work. But you look at the music, and I think it was, and I love Kanye, right? I love Kanye because Kanye's crazy, but they said Kanye, for one of his songs, it was 7 songwriters, and then you had they were all auto-tuned and this, that, and the other. And you turn around, you're like, really? Freddie Mercury basically wrote all of his songs and didn't auto-tune anything and just went out there and crushed it, right? So, yeah. Music, I think music is truly getting worse. So I listen to a lot of country. It depends on what I'm doing, right? Okay, so let me back up. So it depends on what I'm doing, what I listen to. When I work out, I don't listen to country. I generally listen to rock or rap, or I listen to C.T. Fletcher. Talk about what a big piece of shit I am because I've been sitting on the couch and not working out. So C.T. Fletcher is, there, he's shaming me for not working out. Listen to him. But, country, driving back and forth to work, if I'm not listening to a podcast, mainly my favorite podcast being Culper's Canteen Cup, I'm listening to, the country. And outside of a few people, outside of a couple guys like Chris Stapleton, who's not necessarily new anymore, he's been around for, a while now, there's not a lot of good new country singers. They're all Backstreet Boys is what they are. That's all they are. George Jones, he recorded that song, Who's Gonna Fill Their Shoes, years and years ago. I mean, it probably in the 70s. I remember listening to that song when I was growing up, and he talked about Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash and those guys, Ernest Tubb, and those guys, and was like, who's going to replace them? And outside of a few guys, you got George Strait, who he's really not recording anymore. But other than the newer guys, maybe Jamie Johnson, Chris Stapleton. There's another guy out there, and I can't believe I just forgot his name. I saw him in Raleigh. This guy can play the guitar like nobody I've ever seen, and he comes out with an electric guitar. He's a country guy, man. So you got Brad Paisley does a really good job on the electric guitar and a lot of his country songs. This guy could probably outplay Brad Paisley, and I can't remember his name. I'm gonna have to look it up here in a second when I stop running my mouth.
Well, I'll tell you when it comes to country, I've seen a lot of different bands in concert, mostly rock, but one of the best guitar players I've ever seen, period, is Keith Urban. And you look at Keith Urban, and you're like, okay, this is a guy who probably should have been a rock star, right, in the 70s or 80s. But since I don't know, they found a niche for him in country, quote unquote, music, and now he's a country music star. But this guy could have been a rock and roll star, no doubt. And it makes me wonder, you bring up an interesting point, Josh. Where are the composers now? Where are the Mozarts? Where are the Beethovens? I'm talking about classical music. I've been listening to a lot more of that lately when I do some work on the computer and stuff. And, there's no new classical music. You could say like, well, Hans Zimmer or, these guys that do the movie soundtrack, but is that really composition like Mozart? I'm out of touch with the modern classical music scene, I guess, but maybe there's just, everybody thinks, well, the best is all behind us. Mozart kind of ruined it for everyone, Beethoven and Mozart, so I don't know. I don't know if there's such a thing as a modern composer. I'm sure there is, but I guess there's not much money in it because people don't want to listen to modern music when they go to the symphony. They want to listen to, Beethoven's Fifth or whatever. So we're talking about comic books and Roger's a bad artist. I didn't let that stop me. When I was that age, I had a buddy, his name was Jordan, and he and I wrote comic books. We wrote our own comic books, and I actually still have it. This was, I was in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade when I did this. And man, I didn't let, those of you on YouTube can see it, I didn't let the fact that I was a bad artist stop me. Oh, it's just awful. It's just horrible. But, I was writing comic books. We exchange them back and forth, have a good time. But that's one thing I really wish I had a talent for. And I really do think that you're kind of born with it. Michelle can just paint. That's, her granddad could paint, her mom, it just kind of runs in the family. With me, it's just like, I don't have like a drawing, painting bone in my body. I wish I did, because I think of all these funny things that, I could create, caricatures of Josh and Roger, doing stupid stuff. But I wish I had it. I just don't. I don't have it. I didn't even do the turtle thing because I enjoyed it. I guess I thought I'd get better. I just never did. But if anybody's interested in reading the comic book, let me know. And
hey, man, we might have to. Yeah, we might have to have like a softback done with that and like sell it for Christmas or something like that. Maybe like
it's so bad. It's so bad. Not only is the art bad, but it's just so cheesy because back then, you had Red Dawn coming out. You had Top Gun, Karate Kid, RoboCop. So it's all military based, of course. It's all, these military guys are stranded. They got to whatever. So it's like a hodgepodge of just nonsense. Every single character is like a black belt in every martial art and expert. They can fly fighter planes. They're expert at infantry tactics. They're just the ultimate special operators. It's like hundreds of these guys. So yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's
everything that you wanted to be growing up.
Yeah. So
just
bad.
A total badass. So this is which by the way, talking about Michelle and her artwork, I think I'm still waiting for a painting or something like that, but maybe I'll get that before you actually leave your assignment there in 5 years. You're there 5 years. So yeah. This is the go home episode for Thanksgiving. So especially back here in the States, you've all heard, the lockdown and this and that. I know it's an American holiday, but as far as like over in Slovenia, are there the Americans over there at the embassy? I know it's a little different because you don't have the family and all that stuff around, but are they Is it going to be pretty much, isolated, folks eating by themselves, eating together, or what's going on over there, Luke? I'm assuming for me and Josh, we're inviting the whole family, the whole damn neighborhood's going to be over here, so I don't really give a shit. But what are you guys seeing over there?
Well, first of all, that's a good question. I said on Twitter, Facebook, somewhere the other day that I think that Thanksgiving 2020 is going to be the largest demonstration of civil disobedience in U.S. history.
And that only got like 4 likes, right? That only got like 4 likes on Twitter.
Yeah. People.
What the fuck are our listeners? Hey, if you're listening to Culper's Canteen Cup, you need to be on there following him on Twitter and hitting a like on this damn thing.
But so over here, we're kind of, the shutdown. Well, they did a 2-week lockdown where it's like you're not supposed to associate, like, come in contact with anybody outside your family unless you're shopping or going to the bank, or that's it. So, and that, we've said from day one, well, the embassy has said from day one, we're following what the local guidance is. So a few people are getting together, but they're just kind of keeping it quiet and not making it official. So, we're not having any large gatherings, but it's like, God, come on, man. I mean, we can't, at some point you have to take mental health into consideration, and, the cure can't be worse than disease. So, and nobody can get it from us. So maybe nobody can get it from us now. So maybe we'll just hit all of the little parties. So yeah, a few people, we're getting together with a couple of folks, a couple families, and just keeping it small, bringing a few dishes, and just doing it that way. So it'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Yeah, because especially when the holidays, you see suicide rates go up, and you talk about being away from home, being away from your family overseas for the holidays. We've all experienced that multiple times. But I think about especially there with you, Luke, you got those those young Marines and the security detachment. They're single, they're there, they don't have family, like. You can't lock them up in their rooms for Thanksgiving. People need to have those guys and gals over to their house, make sure they're not alone. They're not sitting in their room eating some shitty microwave meal.
Yeah, and I know we have listeners in Slovenia. So if the Slovenian security and police are listening to this, we are diplomats after all. So we're being nice when we follow your rules, and that's all there is to it. And there's a reason you get, diplomatic status, because you could be in a country where they forbid all kinds of crazy stuff inside the house. But it's like, no, dude, I'm a diplomat. I am allowed to do this. Now, you walk a fine line there because
too.
Yeah. But there's a reason that diplomatic status comes into play. And all countries have it. All countries that have a diplomatic mission to other countries have their diplomatic status. Everyone agrees on it. You try not to put it in the host country's face, do things and whatever, but it's like, we're not breaking any laws by doing that. So there's my disclaimer.
Yeah. You gotta take care of those, those folks who are already, I don't want to say isolated, but they're already, alone, by themselves. They've got friends there, but their family's back stateside, and you can't amplify that, especially over the holidays. And we all know that all too well. So Sturgill Simpson, the guy I was talking about, country guy who plays electric guitar, Sturgill Simpson, go on YouTube, Google, go on YouTube, search one of his guitar solos, and just sit there and thank me later. The guy's absolutely amazing, and he's got that Willie Nelson kind of outlaw country sound to him, which makes him all the better, man. I'm identifying with Willie Nelson more and more every day. He just wants to ride around in his, on his bus, smoking weed, and giving a big finger to the U.S. government. I don't know, man. I'm identifying with him more and more every day.
So you think he'll do a little intro music cut for us that we can use? Sorry, Carlton. Zeus.com, Apple Music.
Dude, man. Yeah, if we could just play a quick, we figured out a way to get a quick clip of Sturgill Simpson in here. And hey, you know what? It doesn't go against copyright law if you play it and then you talk about it, right? You critique it a little bit. You say, well, I like this part. I don't like this part. it's not, it won't go against copyright laws. And Luke will correct me if I'm wrong on that, because he's smarter than probably any of us on here about it. Yeah. So for Thanksgiving, so we're getting together with my wife's mom and dad, her sister and husband, and our niece are coming down. And so with my mother-in-law, going through chemo treatments and stuff right now, we're obviously we're all really careful, about getting together with her immune system, not being what it needs to be. So, again, it goes back to that, we're careful about it, but we're not going to let it stop us, from celebrating, because, tomorrow is promised to no man, and at the end of the day, there's a lot of folks out there, this is going to be their last Thanksgiving, regardless of COVID. And so, if you're not willing to risk your safety, to experience these things and to give this, like, what are you living for? What are you protecting? Really? I mean, you have to really ask yourself, at what point are you living, and at what point are you just merely existing? I don't ever want to be to the point where I'm merely existing, right? If I'm not living, then go ahead and give Dr. Kevorkian a call and have him come on over, because, if you're not going to live, then you're either growing or you're dying. It's like, it's like we talked about last episode or something. We were bullshit about that before, earlier this week. You're either growing or you're dying. You're either living or you're dying. I'm on a Facebook page, a Marine recon guy started, and it's pretty good. And I need to invite you guys to it, but it's called Die Living. And man, it is, it's all about folks getting out there and, doing what they basically, checking off their bucket list. Whether it's something as simple as, skydiving, you got one guy over, he's working to, summit Mount Everest. You got one guy, like, his thing, dude, all this guy wants to do, he's like, dude, I just want to be a pit master in a barbecue competition. He's like, I just want to win barbecue competitions as a pit master. So that's his thing, man. He bought this like humongous grill. It's like the size of a motorhome. Like, he could probably barbecue 50 hogs on it all at once. But that's his thing. He was like, dude, this is what gets me up in the morning, is figuring out new recipes and new rubs and, this, that, and the other. And what temperature is it? Do I do this thing at 175 or do I do it at 177? Right. And so it's all about that. But yeah, again, there's a lot of folks who this is going to be their last Thanksgiving, regardless of COVID. And I know when I get up there and I get that age, if it comes down to the last thing I want to do is, not be able to, to hug my kids or hug my grandkids one last time, before I don't want to stare at them for the last time through a pane of glass, right. Or talk to them on a phone. If they have COVID and I know that that's going to do me in, but I know that's the last time that, I'm going to be able to hug them regardless, dude, I'm going to hug them. That's just me. I'd rather live and die living than die existing, because existing is just, it's not me. I'm not built that way. And I think a lot of us are kind of the same way. There's folks out there who are like that. And I think they're miserable creatures. But it takes all kinds. So our Thanksgiving, we're gonna go see the in-laws. My parents, my sisters, and my brother-in-law, they're coming up for Christmas, to our house. We're gonna have big Christmas here. And again, I'm not worried about COVID. We're going to be smart about it. Now, if somebody comes up and somebody tests positive for COVID, right before Christmas, obviously, hey, mom, dad, don't come, right? Again, we're going to be smart about it, but we're not going to let it stop us from living life. Because again, man, that's why we're here. If you don't have that, you ain't got nothing.
Well, especially for something with such a low threat and risk. I mean, we're not talking about, hey, jumping out of an airplane without a parachute because I want the adrenaline rush, right? You're obviously going to die. But with something with such a low risk and low threat, and I don't know if you guys have been tracking this, so I think I posted it to one of the social media pages earlier this week. But you see where there was this Danish study about the effectiveness of masks. And so I'll give the background and then kind of go into a little bit of their observation. And for those YouTube watchers on there, you'll see that before we started the show, we were talking about news and the media and how you're finding more news, and it's just none of it's objective anymore, and this and that. And this is a prime, it's a prime example of that. So it's the Annals of Internal Medicine. So this is no joke. This is like actually legit. It wasn't Josh, Roger, and Luke's, study on masks. So the background: observational evidence suggests that mask wearing mitigates transmission of severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2. It is uncertain if this has been observed, if this observed association arises through protection of uninfected wearers via reduced transmission, yada, yada, yada. So that background, the headline is observational evidence suggests that mask wearing mitigates transmission of COVID. And then it gives the objective design. It breaks it all down. The results, let me skip down to here. So a total of 3,030 participants were randomly assigned to the recommendation to wear masks, and 2,994 were assigned to control. 4,862 completed the study in totality. Infection with COVID occurred in 42 participants recommended masks, 1.8%, and 53 control participants, 2.1%. The difference, 0.3%. That was the effectiveness of mask wearing. So I don't know that if you can actually sit there and say that 0.3%, I guess a 0.3%, technically is a reduction in the transmission of COVID, but I think that's even within the margin of error, right? So you look at the abstract in the background. When I see observational evidence suggests that mask wearing mitigates transmission of COVID, I'm thinking 50, 60, 70%. There's no number associated, but in my mind, you see that. I'm like, okay, this tells me that I have a greater chance of not catching this thing or whatever. And you read through this. Now, this obviously didn't meet this was unexpected. So now everybody's coming out and trying to mitigate this study. They're like, well, the study doesn't say that masks aren't effective. It actually shows you how you really, really need to wear masks, because what they didn't take into account is people don't wear them properly. Well, that's the reality of it. I think we said way back in the day when this thing first started that there was a study back in the 1980s that really found that it's like 24% of the people wear masks effectively, wear them the way you're supposed to wear them. So anyway, so that got me thinking a little bit. I was like, I've heard, follow the science, right? Because Sleepy Joe, we're going to follow the science. So I started, okay, let's follow the science a little bit. And then I started wondering, I'm like, well, have we seen it? And you guys, jump in. Have you seen any studies? And I did some light gurgling, so somebody can sharpshoot me. I'm sure we got some doctors out there or whatever, but I don't recall seeing a whole lot of studies showing how effective masks are. I don't recall seeing. No, right now you've got like your post, right? A lot, like your Twitter post that didn't get any follows or likes or whatever. There's anecdotal evidence, right, that it works or it's more effective, and everybody saw the chart that had the pretty little. If I sneeze with this on, then it's 70% and this and that. And then if you've got it, it's 30% and we're both wearing it, then it's down to 10%, whatever that number is. But where does that come from? So I go to the Mayo Clinic, which Mayo, it's third party, should be totally objective, pretty legit. If I have cancer, that's where I want to go. But even their webpage, it's can face masks help slow the spread of COVID-19? They turn around, yes, face masks combined with other preventive measures, which they always throw that in there. It's never just face masks, because the question is actually, how much protection do face masks offer? And then they jump right in that with other protective measures, such as frequent hand washing, social distancing, da-da-da-da-da. So, and then it goes down into, well, how do the different types of masks work? It actually talks about surgical masks, and at this time, the U.S. FDA has not approved any type of surgical mask specifically for protection against the coronavirus. It talks about N95. It talks about cloth masks. But I'm just kind of going back up to, well, when do we actually address how much protection the mask provides? And even when you look at the citations on this thing, there are no studies. It takes you to some site that, well, wearing an N95 mask blocks 3 microns and above. So then I started doing some more gurgling. I'm like, okay, so where are the studies that show the effectiveness of masks? Now, common sense tells me that if I wear whatever over my face and I sneeze, it's going to catch some droplets. So I'm not saying there's a 0% effectiveness. All right. I'm not saying that at all. But my point being, you have all these mandates, and this kind of, we tie back in with Thanksgiving. You have all these mandates that, well, you can't have, multifamily dinners, and you can't have over 10 people, or you can't go out and eat somewhere, and if you do, you got to wear these masks and you got to do this. And that's like, based on what? I mean, that's the problem. It's like, based on what? What evidence? They keep talking about evidence and follow the science. Show me the study. Show me the study that says, I should wear this because it's going to block 90% of it. And even with all that, it was still, as we've said for weeks and weeks and weeks and months now, it's still, your mortality rate and your fatality rate are extremely low and getting lower, because that's all you're hearing now is that, the daily cases. Oh, we got this amount. Well, obviously the death rate is not going up. The death rate's going down. So, why isn't the media report that? Because, again, it doesn't fit their narrative. And then I guess, let me ask this. So 2020, COVID deaths, once 2021 gets here, I mean, you got to start that count over, right? Or do you just continue that count?
It'll continue the count until January 21st. But yeah, I mean, they'll have to start it over the CDC will have to start it over, but right. The news media won't. The news media absolutely will not start it over. That's a really good study. I think Josh posted it, and there's people trying to sharpshoot him. And I think their hearts were in the right place, though. I mean, I think they were actually trying to have a good discussion and brought up some good points on both ends. And, Roger's an anti-masker. He wants Gam to die. But, it's always the mask in combination with other measures. I mean, those are the magic words, right? But right. It's easiest to go with the mask. And, I would have less of a problem with this whole thing. Same with the Iraq war. Yeah, just be honest with the public. Just be honest with the public. Worldwide, not worldwide, but definitely in the Western world, we try to do our best to help people once they get sick. This thing is targeting older folks. Obviously, I mean, the numbers do not lie on that. It is killing people, over the age of 75 pretty handily. It's a fairly, it's not the deadliest thing we've ever seen, but it is a problem. So slow the spread. That's the closest thing to the truth they've said. 14 days to slow the spread, because we're going to be overwhelmed with people on ventilators. Those people are going to be, older folks and people with pretty severe pre-existing conditions. So let's all lock it down. 14 days to slow the spread so that if Luke gets appendicitis, he can get operated on in the hospital. That's what it's supposed to be all about. That's what this whole thing is supposed to be all about. But we have gone so far beyond that because I'm not going to say the government, but just I'm going to blame mainly the media. Man, the media has overblown this so much that people have forgotten their freaking 8th grade science and 10th grade biology. And God forbid if you went to a university, your biology 101. I mean, people have just absolutely forgotten all that stuff, and they're scared to death. They can look, you can show somebody the numbers, and they're still scared to death. I was the other day, 2 people. A guy came out and he was like, "Hey, you feeling better?" Because I'm back at work. I was cleared to go back to work. "Hey, you feeling better? Tell me about it. What were the symptoms?" Because people want to know. And the other person that was with him, as I'm describing what it was like, slowly was backing away, like unconsciously. This person was backing away from me, knowing that I am not contagious, number one. And number two, the one person you're not going to get it from is me. But the fear has overridden people's common sense or anything that they learned back in the day. I've had some really interesting conversations with very intelligent people. And it's like, dude, are you not looking at the numbers? I mean, so Roger, the study was really good, but people are going to let their fear override that. And they're going to come up with all these justifications on why the study's wrong, why it's not complete. Well, it's just Denmark. I mean, it's Denmark, whereas Denmark has the best medical, system in the world because they're socialized medicine. It's great. But I'll tell you, man, it's protect vulnerable populations, protect vulnerable populations. The U.S. does have a higher vulnerable population than the rest of the world, but protect vulnerable populations and wear your mask when you go to the old folks' home. Actually, you shouldn't even be allowed to go in there. Whatever, man. It's out of control. Roger got me all worked up. But yeah, that was a good study, Roger. And Josh is sitting there waiting to talk, man. He's getting.
Nah, man, I'm done getting worked up over COVID. It's like you said, fear. At this point, it's all fear, right? And when people allow emotion to take over, they become irrational, right? And that's it. That's all it is. People have allowed their fear to take over, and fear leads to being irrational. And then you make poor decisions when you're irrational. We all know this. We've all seen this. When people get afraid, they freeze, they lock up. They can't. They become. Corporal Upman, whatever the hell his name was. From Saving Private Ryan. They're in that stairwell crying. And that's what a lot of these people are with COVID, and it's like, good Lord, this thing. If you are a middle-aged, healthy person, dude, you are going to be okay. Looking at the numbers, and people are like, I don't want COVID, so I'll wear my mask, right? And go back, and it's like, look, the initial thing, the mask is not going to keep you from getting COVID. It's not. I think, Luke, you even said it. You wore your mask religiously, when you were out, and you still got it, right? And so it's like, I'm not going around licking doorknobs, trying to get it. But again, man, if I get it, I get it. It's not, God, you just can't, you take a look at the fear that has gripped this thing, that has gripped the country as a whole about getting COVID. And you look at these people and you're like, what are you going to do when something really hits? When something hits and it's got, and it's only a 90%, survival rate. What are you going to do? It's going to be mass hysteria. Like, there's going to be mass hysteria. You're still talking 90%. I mean, it's 98, 99%, 99.9% right now. And people are losing their minds over this. The grocery stores are clearing out here again. Like, that's how ridiculous it is. I went in the grocery store today, and all the toilet paper is gone again.
Oh, Lord.
All the paper towels are gone again. The cleaning supplies are gone again. And, it's like, well, might as well go ahead and get what meat I need, for the next couple of weeks, because that's just going to be gone again too. And it's like, stop it, people, stop it. Stop what you're doing. Think, be logical. Like Luke said, remember your high school biology class, remember your science class, the vaccine, who was it? Pfizer. And what was the other? I forget the other company.
Moderna.
Yeah. They're like, dude, we're going to start shipping vaccines next month, meaning December. And guess what? They're like, people are freaking out. They're like, everybody in the United States has to get vaccine to make COVID go away. And it's like, no, they don't. You can vaccinate 10% of this country. And guess what? It's going to destroy COVID. That's how this thing called herd immunity works. But people don't, they don't realize that. They don't get that. And people are like, we need to wear masks. The vaccine's not okay. Mask are, as Biden said, mask are, better than a vaccine. It was like, dude, we didn't eradicate polio by mask. We didn't eradicate, measles and mumps and smallpox.
Yeah, Native Americans are like, all I had to do was wear a mask? Really?
Yeah, dude, they're like, I could just strap a loincloth across my face and I would have been fine. It's bananas, dude. I just, whatever, and they're probably going to lock the country down again come to January 21st, and 4 to 6 weeks. That's what the new advisor has said is required. And it's like, okay, man, you're going to lock it down. We're not. I mean, nothing I can do to stop the government from locking it down. I'm not gonna obey. I'm still going to go out and do my thing, and live. But it's nonsense. I think about people like my parents. When you talk about locking this, shutting everything down, like shutting down for 4 to 6 weeks, you think about what that does to the economy, for 5 times that length of time, that could have a negative effect on the economy for years. And I think about people like my parents who are up there in age, and, how much time did they have to financially recover, from something like this? The three of us, we'll be fine. Financially, we'll be fine. We'll recover, and we're going to be okay. We're still going to have enough money to go out and buy some shitty bourbon, to drink later. But our parents, I don't know how much time they have to financially recover, right? And so, it's going to be in a position to where now, I have to financially take care of my parents as well. Down the road, because there's a lot of people who are just freaked out and irrational over COVID-19. I don't know. And then what's going to happen next year with the flu numbers and everything. It's amazing. Nobody in the U.S. has died of flu this season. It's crazy.
Or pneumonia.
It's like we lose, or pneumonia, or any other respiratory disease. We got rid of them all, right? COVID just went ahead and took care of everything. It's crazy, man, but it's whatever. I'm going to do everything in my power to actively resist. I think that's what Dan Bongino is, tweeting every day, #resist. And Kurt and everybody, everything you can do to legally resist, I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna keep living. I'm not gonna let other people dictate my life and what I can and can't do, and whatever repercussions come from that, so be it.
Well, sometimes you got to go back and slap people, because it's like, Luke said that, you've forgotten your 8th grade, science class or whatever. And it's along the same lines when anybody starts talking shit. We're like, hey, you want to come on a podcast? We know of one. And then it's crickets, right? Because they realize they don't have the data and the science to support it. And so when all these people, especially out here, we talk about locking everything down and mass, and then they tell me I'm a killer and I'm trying to kill everybody and whatever, and then I throw out the 2.6% and 0.06%. It's like, if you're not leaving your house for that, then you'll be in your basement for a long time. And it's almost like, and again, it's crickets. You never get any response. So it's one of two things. It's either one, they just don't want to even look at it, or two, what you hope is people will actually look at it and say, wow, that is actually a good point, which of course we know that's not the case. So what worries me more, you go beyond the mass, all that other stuff. And I think Luke, you posted on your Twitter account that nobody follows, that the one, I don't know if it was a business or a gathering or whatever, where the health inspector was there with the sheriff. So let me ask you this, because I know you've got a couple other things that you want to touch on. There was a sheriff there, or at least the sheriff's office was there, right? And I think it was more than one. It was like a couple guys. And for the listeners out there and the viewers, basically what happens is this is business or whatever it is, but it's a private residence, private establishment. And clearly some Karen or whatever, the male version of that, Chad or whatever that is, some Karen or Chad called the sheriff's office on this establishment because they weren't wearing masks. So the sheriff's office shows up with several folks, and the health commissioner or whoever it was from the health department shows up. And I guess they want to issue a citation. Well, they're inside of this establishment, and the guy's like, hey, this is private property. Leave. You have no say in here. It's no different than being inside your house. And you have to Google it or go to his Twitter page and take a look at it, because they're there for at least 2 or 3 minutes from what we see on the video clip. They don't refuse to leave. So at that point, I mean, it makes me wonder. I was sitting there as I was getting angry as I'm watching this thing, and I'm just like, Luke, what do you do? I mean, other than sue the shit out of them. I mean, at that point, I'm like, hey, I hope you stay here 30 minutes, because I'm getting ready to own your police department at that point. But it's like, man, you had the sheriff's office there inside your place. You had the lady there from the health department. They're asking, they're like, and it's classic. Hey, what law did I break? What law did I break? Yeah, well, it's not like a law. It's like, no, you have a warrant to come in here. And they wouldn't leave. So, you get to that point and I start thinking, Luke, what do you do? Cops show up, sheriff shows up, and they refuse to leave your premise. I mean, what options do you have?
Well, I mean, I think they handled it pretty well. They had I wouldn't say intelligent, but they had some people in there that were making a point to the sheriff and the health department, like you outlined. And I think that they did end up leaving. They got shouted down. And I don't know what you do. You take a stand, you dig your heels in, or you just comply, put on your mask, and then when they leave, you take it off. It's so polarizing. The question I had in my mind when I was watching that was, at what point do the cops just stop enforcing stuff? And I think there are certain areas of the country where the cops are just like, yeah, I'm not responding to that call. We got stuck in traffic. My whole point behind posting that was like, well, this is where it starts. People are losing their minds. And it doesn't even matter whether I think I'm on the right side or the wrong side of this issue. People are losing their minds, and you're going to see more and more of this. Guatemala, they're basically their Capitol building, their legislative Capitol building, their parliament is burning right now. There are, riots, toned down riots on the streets of Slovenia, and these people are the most chill people on the planet. You saw what we saw in the States over the summer, which I'm going to get to in a second, and people are losing it, man. They're just losing it. Even the Chaz, that wouldn't have happened. I'm telling you, that would not have happened if COVID wasn't around, because those people didn't have anything to do. Normally they don't have anything to do anyway, but this time they really didn't have anything else to do. But everything's polarized, everything's polarized. You're on one side or the other, and you get worked up at the other side. And there was once a 760-year-old dude named Yoda, and he said some pretty wise things. And I think a lot of this stuff, when George Lucas wrote it, he drew on a lot of religious texts and things like that to describe, the Force and all these things. But this to me, this really kind of sums it up what he said. There's the dark side, and Yoda said, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. So what do we say? I mean, people are scared to death of COVID. And they're scared to death of it, and they're mad about it, and they're going to take it out on the anti-maskers like Roger, or who keep calling out Roger's not anti-masker. He just has common sense. They're going to take it out on him. It's their fault that this COVID is spreading. So it's conservatives' fault that they don't believe in science. And you get angry and you start hating the other side for what? Josh said something earlier about nearly existing. Speaking of nearly existing, there is a coffee company that sells T-shirts and things like that out of Utah called Black Rifle Coffee Company. And I think it's a veteran-owned business. I'm sure it is. And they market to, military, of course. But I would hazard to guess that the majority of the people that buy their product are probably 3%ers. Boogaloo crowd to a point, and just dudes who want to dress up and go plinking. So there was a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse. That's the guy who shot the 3 people attacking him, or 2 people attacking him, and now it's a big deal up in Kenosha, and he was released on $2 million, I think, bond.
Yep.
And so there was a picture of him with his lawyer, somebody, and he had a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt on. And some people, got on, some smartasses got on and said, well, I guess Black Rifle Company supports domestic terrorists now. So, and it blew up on Twitter, I think, that today. And Black Rifle came on and made an announcement. And they actually replied to a tweet from some guy who wasn't even verified. Who said, I guess Black Rifle supports domestic terrorists now. My internet's not working, so I can't read the tweets on my computer. And Black Rifle came back with something to the endorse, and we do not endorse coffee. And it blew up. It blew up. And it's like, I'm getting around to the point of nearly existing. When companies try to get woke, they go broke. And I'm sure Black Rifle Coffee Company, their heart was in the right place, but they forgot their freaking customer base. Dude, your customer base is Kyle Rittenhouse. He's wearing your shirt. Those are the kind of people who buy your products, you dumb fucks. It's like this, now it's like, okay, they gave that watered down Dan Crenshaw. It's like, dude, take a stand. Dude, just take a stand. You don't gotta support Kyle Rittenhouse. But the way they worded that tweet was they didn't deny he was a domestic terrorist. It's like, dude, how about innocent until proven guilty or something like that? Let's wait for adult to come out. A lot of different people buy our products. We don't endorse violence. I understand that. But man, make it more well thought out and stop trying to be all woke. I won't buy their products now because they're all watered down, man. They're all watered down. Not their products are watered down, but the company itself, it's like you're trying to be all woke. What's your problem, man? I don't know. Josh, that kind of triggered me today a little bit. I'm like, just nut up and say something.
Yeah, I saw all of that, and so I've had I've had some of Black Rifle's coffee. It's okay. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. They used to get it. The organization I retired out of. There's a bunch of dudes in there, and they would there was always bags near the coffee pot, and and we would get them overseas as well. It's it's okay coffee, but again, you're right. They forgot who their customer base is, and it came out, and they were like, you called me wishy-washy, and so, but they did. It was completely wishy-washy, and one of the guys that he was in the picture with is Ricky Schroeder.
Yep.
Right. Everybody remember Ricky Schroeder? So. Yeah, go back and look at the photo. The guy standing to Kyle Rittenhouse's left is Ricky Schroeder. You turn around, and so so it was $2 million cash bond to spring them. Well, guess who paid it? One of them was Ricky Schroeder. Apparently, Good Times or all the family, whatever the show Ricky Schroeder was on. Apparently, that paid really well, and he didn't spend all his money. And the other guy is the My Pillow guy. Yep. I forget I can't recall his name off the top of my head. Yeah, Mike Wendell, right? And so, what I thought was funny out of the whole thing about this, it wasn't Black Rifle Coffee coming out with that wishy-washy tweet like that Dan Crenshaw. I'm not going to take a side. I'm just going to try and ride the fence. And now both sides are they're going to burn down the fence that I'm on. Instead of respecting me for being a middle ground, they're just going to burn that fence down and me along with it. Was the fact that people are now attacking Mike Lindell and Ricky Schroeder, right? And so people, and primarily the left, the same people who earlier this year when we were talking, what's his face. Jacob, whatever his name was up there in Wisconsin, Jacob Blake, right? When they were talking to him and they were talking, some of the other folks, and they're like, there shouldn't be cash bail, bail shouldn't be a thing. Everybody should be released, until their court date, blah, blah, blah. These same people are now losing their minds over Mike Lindell posting bail for Kyle Rittenhouse. They're like, that shouldn't be allowed. It's like, well, which one is it? Is it we're not going to have cash bail? Cash bail shouldn't be a thing, or now we only certain people shouldn't have cash bail? You got to pick, man, because those are the same people who are coming out with those Black Rifle Coffee, coffee company tweets, and those are the same Dan Crenshaw tweets. Who are it's like pick a side. Just pick a side and stay there and defend your point. That's it. They are truly the Mitt Romneys. It's like, dude, just pick a side, take a stand, have a spine, and say, I am either this way or that way on whatever issue it is. But you take a look at Mike Lindell, right? And so this guy, former drug addict, not somebody who I would waste a whole lot of time on. This guy got his life together, found God, come back, and now he's a church going. I believe, from everything I've read, that he's a genuinely good person and a productive member of society. And the left is attacking him left and right, even more so now than I think they did when he came out and supported President Trump and, gave that plug in the Rose Garden. And the other thing, and I'll say this before I throw it over to Roger, but the left has not figured out yet that generally when you attack a business owner, when you attack somebody, whether it be Chick-fil-A, whether it be Mike Lindell, somebody, when you do that, all you do is make people go buy their shit. People turn around and people are like, oh, you don't like that person? Guess what? I'm going to go buy their stuff to spite you. Right. So I will be curious. I will look to see what MyPillow's quarter earnings are here, at the beginning of next year to see if there was a spike in sales over the last, month now, in the next month. But it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's like, hey, man, you know what? Kyle Rittenhouse, is he guilty? Is he not guilty? I don't know. I haven't seen all the evidence. From what I've seen, it looks like it was a clear-cut case of self-defense, but I haven't seen all the evidence, and neither has anybody else. And until he's, proven guilty or innocent in a court of law, it's just your opinion, right? And so that, a lot of people have forgotten that. It's like when, Joe Biden's sexual, assault accuser came out and people were like, well, do you think Joe Biden's, guilty or innocent? I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't have all the evidence. I don't know. So let's not convict people in the court of public opinion before they have their day in court. I think the folks who do that generally hate America. They're unpatriotic and they should die a traitor's death. But that's just me being a little extreme. So I'll throw over to Roger before I say anything else crazy.
Well, it's like it's no different than the Goya products, right? When they came out and the left tried to protest all the Goya products, and then it's like, man, you couldn't find that shit on the shelves. I mean, they were like, holy cow, so generally speaking, they don't work. And I think you even hear like Sean Hannity, he's like boycott stuff like that. You're generally against it because all you're doing is firing up the base on the other side to come out and offer more support for it. And then, you go back to the Kyle Rittenhouse thing and the bail and whether he should, and again, we're all three the same. Hey, all I know is are the videos that I've seen. Is the guy guilty? Is he not? I don't know. I mean, we'll see how all that stuff plays out in court, right? So I'm not going to sit there and say he's guilty one way or the other. I just know what I've seen. I base my opinion, but that's the problem. Like we mentioned last episode, they see these snippets, they cast a verdict, and then all of a sudden, nobody cares about the process. Nobody cares about the means. It's whatever it takes to support my narrative, period. And that's the problem. That's the problem with everything. It's like when you look at, and I've kept track of a lot of the election stuff going on, and some of it's just boring, so it's hard to really get into because it's really just a bunch of legal battles that are going on, and at the end of the day, it's going to have to make its way to the Supreme Court. Whether there's, you say widespread election fraud, whether there isn't, is it centralized, is it decentralized, whatever. At the end of the day, I think they run out of time, but it just comes down to, and both sides are just as guilty. It doesn't matter what the process is. It doesn't matter what the means are. It's like, I have my narrative. I've already casted my verdict. You're guilty. You're not guilty, whatever. So none of it matters. And it becomes, as I talk about this, and as we've spoken and continue to speak about it, everything becomes less fact-based. I mean, it's just like the mask that we were just talking about. For many people that say, listen to the science, there's some non-science listening motherfuckers, man. Because everything that I've heard from the WHO and all that other stuff is, well, no, we don't need to shut down everything. We don't need to lock down, because again, like we've mentioned, you're getting one perspective. Hey, guess what? Fauci is not an economist. And oh, by the way, if you go back to April, Fauci said we should never shake hands again. And that's a quote from him, said that we should never shake hands again. So if that's what you want to believe, now he can give his medical advice. That's great. But most of our listeners out there, you're going to die, from heart disease, from that double quarter pounder with cheese that you ate long before you're going to die from COVID, unless you're one of the vulnerable population. And at that point, it's not just COVID, it's pneumonia, the flu, yada, yada, yada. So, I sometimes it just sounds like it's a broken record over and over again. And it is. And it's like you said, you have to take every legal, action you can and every legal protest that you can, because then you get to places like California again, right? Hey, dude, you can't make this stuff up. Between the Philadelphia mayor, the governor in California, the Chicago mayor, that are all like, hey, no more gatherings, face masks, this and that. And within 24 hours, there's video of them at a private restaurant with 10 or 15 people, no masks, celebrating in the street with 100 people. I'm over here at a party with another 35 folks because it was a birthday party or whatever. So how come you can do that and I can't? I mean, fortunately for us out in Arizona, thankfully, Governor Ducey came out and he said what I believe he should, what he should have said. Hey, you know what? We believe masks save lives. It is a personal responsibility. So we strongly encourage that, the family gatherings, that you socially distance when you can, that you wear a mask when you can't, because that's what it was initially, right? It was initially, when I can't stay 6 feet apart, then I need to wear a mask. Well, then all of a sudden, just like it was, hey, like you said, keep the spike down from the hospitals. Well, then all of a sudden it became, well, now I have to socially distance and I have to wear a mask. And then it became, well, it's not about the hospitals anymore. Now it's just about overall infected rate, or not even infected rate, just overall raw numbers that are infected. So, the goalpost keeps moving and it gets frustrating, and it does start to sound like a broken record. But if you don't continue to push back and you don't continue to fight back, you're seeing the erosion of your freedoms and your liberties. It's a prime. Go watch that video we were talking about on Twitter where the sheriff's office is in there. And he's like, what law did I break? Well, this isn't a law like a law. This is like, something else type thing that we're going to cite you for. So in Oregon, if you don't wear your mask and you have people over at your house, you can be fined $1,600, but I can go shoot up some heroin for free. Right? That's totally legal. And, people think that I'm joking. That's no shit. Like, they decriminalize all that stuff. So you're telling me that I can shoot up the black tar heroin and I'm good to go. But by God, I don't wear a mask. You're going to fine me $1,500 or $1,600. So anyway, enough for like the bad news and the Debbie Downers. Last thing I have for everybody, and I'm kind of curious, man. It's Thursday, or Thanksgiving's coming up Thursday for us. At first, I wasn't sure if everybody celebrated it this way, but I'm assuming with the global economy and everything. I mean, Friday's coming up. It's Black Friday, which a lot of places start their sales on Wednesday night. So they were talking about having inventory shortages and this and that, because this year you're not going to have folks that are out there in line. They're literally going to be on the internet refreshing. So I'm sitting here trying to think, and my wife always asks me what I want for Christmas and this and that. So I don't know, guys. What do you think about Black Friday? Anything that you're in particular, looking for? I do know that like Apple products, huge sale. I know that my wife doesn't watch this show and she doesn't listen to this. So this is how confident I am that none of my family members listen to this. So I bought my wife an Apple Watch Series 6 GPS cellular, right? So dark navy blue. And I'm not sure she's going to like the color, but I am so confident that nobody in my family supports me and in our C3 Productions that I'm going to put that out there. And I mean, you figure between what's today, the 22nd. So I basically got like 1 month and 3 days, right? So I guarantee she doesn't get to episode 42 in 1 month and 3 days. She won't get to episode 32 or 22 or 12 or any other two. So I don't know, Luke, you got anything on the Christmas list? I mean, and what are they doing? I mean, do they celebrate Black Friday because like all the stuff comes out on sale, all that good stuff?
Yeah, they do, which was kind of shocking to us the first year we were here. We happened to be, they don't do that here. They're not consumers. No, they have Black Friday here. It's not quite as big a deal, but man, the stores are packed. As far as what I want, I don't know. My wife's going to get me what she's going to get. Unfortunately, she will listen to this show because I told her y'all gave her a shout out, so she probably will listen to this one. So I'm not going to tell her, I'm not going to tell her or the world what I got for her, but I will ask the audience this. I am shopping for her straight up on Amazon because everything's closed right now here. Everything's closed. So hopefully it'll open up and I can find some stuff around here. But if you listeners out there have any suggestions, gift for, a wife, good girl gift, hit us up. Just send us a message and say, hey, this would be good. Don't be a smartass either, or we'll cancel you. We'll cancel you. We'll dox you. Josh is not good at ideas. My wife's not really into electronics. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I've got her a few things, but if anybody has any suggestions, that'd be great. I might get myself a Mac for Christmas, guys. So
dude, you've been saying that shit. For like 6
months. That's maybe. But to wrap it up, I want to say a couple of things. Everyone's familiar with Josh 3:16 by this point. Josh 3:16 states, because the Constitution says so. And that's taken from kind of Austin 3:16, which has nothing to do with what the real John 3:16 in the Bible is. But so I've been working on my little scripture taken from Revelation 3:16. And so that when people like Dan Crenshaw pull his nonsense and the Black Rifle Coffee Company pull their nonsense, and I'm still working on this. I think I got to fine tune little parts of it. So Luke 3:16 says, so because you are a cuckold and neither a patriot nor a constitutionalist, I will slap you in the mouth. And that's taken from Revelation 3:16, which is, so because you are neither hot nor cold, I will spew you from my mouth. So I'm so sick of these people not making a stand and just being so lukewarm and just pathetic. So I want to share something with the audience real quick. It's a big day for me on October 28th. YouTube, you can zoom in here on that. From now on, I am Dr. Luke. Dr. Luke. I will be referred because I got my Doctor of Divinity right there from the Universal Life Church. But not only that, I wasn't done there. I am also a doctor of metaphysics. Straight up. And the only difference between these degrees and a real PhD, his PhD, or Roger went and got his PhD from Harvard. The only difference is that you guys will openly make fun of me for this and say, oh, that's not a real doctor. You're not, that doesn't mean you're smart. But with your doctorate from Harvard out there or from wherever, we're all thinking it. We're all thinking, whatever, dude, you're not that smart. So that's the only difference. You can openly ridicule me. Whereas when you guys get your real doctorates, your real PhDs, we will ridicule you in our minds. So yeah, I hope the audience got a kick out of this today. We really didn't have an agenda. I think it went over all right. I want to give one shout out to Robert at Infantry Bullock. He's doing really well in the course, but he's going through some family trouble. So Robert, our thoughts and prayers are with you, and you'll make it through this. So I can kick it over to Josh, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, just for the record, I'm not going to call you Dr. Luke. Just so you know. Not going to happen. Hey, Robert out there in Infantry Bullock, man. I tell you what, if you hear this, send us your address, and so we can get some stuff to you. Nothing super crazy. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to do anything crazy, with you. But get us your address. We'll get you some stuff, because I tell you, there's nothing. When you're away from family, when you're away from friends, stuff. There's nothing better than getting something in the mail. Just man, when they call your name a mail call and you get something, and you get a box in the mail, it just kind of makes your day a little bit better. So DM us your address, man. We'll hook you up. We'll get you taken care of, and we'll keep you and your family on the prayer list. Same thing with with Nana, my wife's mother out there, keeping you on the prayer list as well. Yeah, to kind of wrap this thing up, as far as Christmas goes, man, there's nothing I want a lot of things. I don't need a lot of things. I don't need anything. I have everything I need. right? There's obviously some things I want. If anybody's out there listening, I'd like one of the Buffalo Trace antique collection bottles of bourbon. Preferably the WL Weller, if you can find it. But my wife will listen to this. She probably will say, "You got a Forerunner earlier this summer. Happy birthday and Merry Christmas to that." I don't know if she's going to listen to this all the way through or not, so I'm not going to say what I'm going to get her, but I've been looking at a couple things. I know I'm a bad gift recommender. I'm a bad gift giver. I'm a terrible gift giver, right? I've been a terrible gift giver for day one. I think I got Nicole a kitchen towel and maybe a kitchen appliance for our first Christmas. So that tells you what I'm terrible, man. I'm absolutely terrible. So, but yeah, man, as far as Christmas goes, if anybody's looking for something, you can't go wrong. You know where the gun store is, you know where the booze store is, so you can't go wrong with me. Just get me one of those things. Or I tell you what, for our listeners out there, if each of you can get one friend to start listening, if we can get 5 new listeners in the month of December, that'll be Christmas for me, and I'll be happy. But yeah, other than that, I really can't think of anything else as far as Christmas goes. We're going to decorate the house for Christmas this weekend. We were going to decorate it earlier this week, maybe 2 weeks ago, because it's 2020 and there's really no rules anymore. And I think everybody could use a little pick me up. Our neighbors decorated already. They decorated like a week and a half ago. I come home from work and my neighbor's on his roof, hanging Christmas lights. And, I tried to pay him to do ours, and he wouldn't do it. He's like, "No, I don't even want to do mine." But his wife made him. So, man, we're gonna get the Christmas decorations up. Already listened to Christmas music. Christmas is my favorite holiday. The 4th of July and Christmas. Sorry, those are my 2 favorite holidays. My wife's favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. I like the food on Thanksgiving because I'm a fat kid and I like to eat. So I'm gonna try and refrain from eating a whole pecan pie myself this year. I may or may not have done that in past years. You wake up the next morning and you're just disappointed in yourself. You look at it, you're like, you're such a piece of shit. When you do that. So, but all right, folks. So this is going to wrap us up for this episode. Again, we really didn't have a topic in this episode. It was just BSing. And but I tell you what, you guys stay safe. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Big shout out to Carlton Zeus. Don't hate us when we put a little bit of Sturgill Simpson in here, for folks to get a taste of. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Take care of one another. Be good to one another. Those people are out there who are isolated, who are alone for the holidays. Reach out to them. Tell them that you're thinking about them. Start with the strong ones first. And for our YouTube subscribers, your freemium content starts now.
All right. Yeah, man. This new interface, I'm not sure. I dig it. It seems to be a little bit buggy. Dude, I forgot the biggest thing I was going to bring up. Did you hear that we're pulling out of Open Skies?
Dude, that was like a year ago.
No, I just got it like yesterday. I said by Sunday, by today, that Trump's like, we're pulling out of this shit. Done.
Yeah, but dude, that was announced like a year ago that we were going to do it. This is just the effective date.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
You know why? And people freaked out about it, right? Because of course, Orange Man bad. They freaked out about it. But if you go back and you actually look, even in an open source, the Russians haven't been abiding by that.
Well, no,
for the last decade.
Not. Nope.
So again, it's like, why are we going to stay in a treaty that the other side's not abiding by? Fine, fuck you. We're going to leave it. People are like, oh, you gotta, you can't lead. You can't lead like that. Sure, I can. I can walk away from the dumpster fire and be like, I'm gonna go lead, and you can follow me.
What's that whole globalist mentality? Because that, when I was doing some reading on it, everybody who's against it's like, but the Europeans, they rely so much on that data. I'm like, well, that sounds like a fucking European problem to me. It doesn't sound like a U.S. problem. I mean, we have satellite imagery. Your shit.
Spoken like a true.
I wish it would go away, man. It makes everything more difficult. It actually does. For NATO, it makes everything more difficult.
What, going away or staying in place?
Staying in place.
Yeah.
It makes everything, because the UCOM, his big thing is I need to be able to fly anywhere, anytime I want. I need my forces to be able, NATO forces to be able to fly anywhere, anytime they want in NATO, period.
Right.
But now you have to abide by open skies and all the little nonsense BS in there, coupled with EU stuff. That dude pulls his hair out constantly. He's like, why is this so complicated to do overflight of a NATO country?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it's nonsense. Hey, but I was serious on the Christmas thing with the Buffalo Trace antique collection, like for real.
I'll mail you one if you mail me one.
Buy one here in North Carolina. People are like, oh, there's this one guy, right? He posted in the not the North Carolina Bourbon Society, but this other bourbon society in North Carolina. He posted up. He was like, I found a George T. Stagg on the shelf at this certain ABC store. And somebody else called him out. They were like, hey, man, when were you there? He was like, oh, I was there, at 10 o'clock, 10:05, whenever they opened. He was like, yeah, I worked there. And no, you didn't find that on the shelf in our store. He's like, you're friends with one of the workers, and they held that back for you. And, oh, by the way, that worker's going to get fired for holding it back for you. Right. And so it was one of those things. And so, dude, everybody dogpiled on this dude for you're a lying piece of shit. You're like, I found it on a shelf. No, you didn't. You didn't find it on a shelf. Those things are super allocated, and they're lottery items, right? They're lottery items. You will not find one of those things on the shelf. And so, it goes back to that state controlled thing, man. That is such a communist thing to do. It's like, I'm going to hold the good cuts of meat back for my friends. I'm not going to put the good cut of meat out, in the meat case at the grocery store. And people are fine with it. People, again, it harkens back to that, dude. People are fine with this stuff in state control. They're like, well, the government system works for me, so I don't care that it doesn't work for you. And it's like, dude, you don't know what you're doing. And they're like, I wish the government would control more of the alcohol stuff. And it's like,
Jesus.
Oh, God. It kills me, man. It absolutely kills me.
Well, that's right up there with, well, you need to make friends with the store owner. I'm like, no, actually, I don't. I think the way I make friends with the store owner is by spending my cash. That's how I make friends with the store owner. I have the money, so I don't need to make friends with anybody. It's like my neighbor says it, it always fits. It's the right size, never gets returned. It's the right color. I mean, it's, money talks, but whatever, dude. I hope to find one this year. I am getting more and more skeptical that I will be able to find one. Or not, at least not at a price that I'm willing to. When I bought mine last year, I found one. I think I got it for like $250 or something like that. And I had a hard time paying $250 for it. I was like, I really want to buy it for $250. Dude, I would buy like 5 of them if I found it for $250 now. Because you could turn around and sell them for $700, $800, $900. Yeah, I'm not going to find one for $250. It'll be $600 or $700 minimum is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've had. So a buddy of mine gave me a sample of a 2015 Thomas Handy. That is the only Buffalo Trace antique collection I've ever had. And it was phenomenal. I really, really want a W.L. Weller this year, a 2020 W.L. Weller. Because, dude, did you see the proof on that?
I think they're all high this year. I think they're all higher, if I'm not mistaken.
The proof, I think, on the W.L. Weller this year is 136. Ooh. It's like 132, 130. Like it's up there, man. It's almost short of being the diesel that they called it one year. I think it was like a 139 proof. I was like, wow, dude, that's crazy. But I would love to find one of the Four Roses anniversary bottles. limited edition anniversary bottles because I love Four Roses. In fact, I had some Four Roses single barrel earlier today, and I think Luke, you were drinking Four Roses the other night, weren't you?
I was. That was last night.
What do you think of the Four Roses? How do you like it?
The Select is good. Yeah, I mean it's good. I like it. It's one of my go-tos. It's good stuff, man.
When you're not drinking the Boulay Rye.
Yeah, or your Black Barrel or Black Bush or Red Breast. Black Bush is good.
The Red Breast 12-year, dude. I saw a Red Breast. I almost pulled the trigger on a Red Breast 15 the other day.
Should have.
Dude.
How much was it?
I mean, it was here in North Carolina. I think the Red Breast 15 is like 120 something.
Wow. That's up there.
Yeah, it's up there, man. But I haven't had it, so I can't compare it to the 12. But, man, if it's better than the 12, that means it's damn good because, dude, the Red Breast 12, man, it's because here in North Carolina, I think it's $60, $62 for the Red Breast 12. And, dude, it's worth every penny.
Dude, you know where I got my Red Breast 12 from like 3-4 weeks ago? Walmart clearance aisle. I got it for like $42. Like, no shit.
I hate you so much.
That shit was on the clearance aisle. I was like, I'll pick that up. It's got that. Jameson's always on the clearance aisle. He's usually on the clearance aisle, and then there's like a bunch of liqueurs or whatever. But it's Walmart. So, I mean, a lot of folks that go into Walmart, I mean, our Walmart is actually stepping up its game. Like, I can go get Piggyback and Whistle Pig and stuff like that. But a lot of the folks that shop at Walmart just aren't, higher end bourbon drinkers. So, they're there for the Coors Light and, Jack Daniels or whatever. But the higher end stuff, I mean, tends to stay on the shelf and comes out in the clearance aisle, man. So I kind of dig it. Not complaining at all.
Yeah. How did you break open that new riff yet?
No, not yet. I've got 2 other bottles that are single barrels that I've opened, and one's a single barrel select, but I haven't opened up the one that you sent yet. I'll probably kill one of the single barrels, or I'll do a side by side, and I may actually mix one of the single barrels into a mystery bottle for you. Send it out there so you can taste it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dude, it's North Carolina. I don't know what's about to happen, but we're up 16% with COVID cases. I think Cooper's getting ready to lock this down. So I'm gonna So I'm gonna hop off here in just a minute or two. I got to get dinner going for the kids. I think I followed this recipe for crock pot chicken and dumplings, and I looked at it before I came in here, before we started recording, and it looked like some shit out of Chernobyl. So I don't know how good it's going to turn out, man. And so I got to have lead time on some reaction time to get something else. I don't know. It may be, I would say it'd be a Chick-fil-A night, but it's Sunday, and
it's Sunday.
The Lord's chicken ain't getting cooked on the Sabbath. So
sounds good, man.
I know Luke's got to get out of here too. Luke, final thoughts? Anything for our freemium listeners?
Nothing this week, man. It's a big week. Hopefully after Thanksgiving we can knock one out. It's all good.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, hey, thanks to all our viewers out there. We hope everybody has a fantastic holiday. Highly encourage. Hey, man, get together with your family, get together with your friends, take the precautions that you feel that you need to take. I was reading something else earlier in the social media, and they were talking about people being made fun of and this, not a mask. And, I'm not about that either. It's hey, if you feel you need to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you feel you need to socially distance. If you feel you don't need to go out, don't go out. But I can tell you myself and the rest of the folks here at the Cup will hopefully partake in some beverages with some extended family and friends over the holidays. So be safe out there. And again, thanks to Carlton Zeus. Until we can get, what's the other guy's name, Josh? Until we can get, what's his music?
Sturgill Simpson.
All right, so Carlton, you're still on the hook until until Mr. Simpson lets us cut some of his track. And for all of our YouTube viewers out there, we really appreciate it, and keep your Canteen cups tightly secured.